Hello there, and welcome to Thanks for Listening podcast. My name is Nikki Nicole, and if this is your first time here, I want to just take the time to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for pressing play, opening up your YouTube, and being here with me today. I'm so grateful for you. This is our third episode here, and Thanks for Listening podcast is about having the conversations, making it feel like I'm in the room with you and we're talking about real life stuff, relatable stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how to get through it. Tips and tricks to build a community of people who want to learn how to improve their life, to make their days better. Because I always say, if I could just help one person, that fills my heart so much. I can't even tell you. And I really didn't learn this until later in life. So it's never too late. It's never too late to learn something new. It's never too late to put yourself first. Okay. So with everything going on in this world, in this fast-paced world, I wanted to know, are y'all taking time to heal? Like, really? Are you asking yourself the hard questions like, am I taking the time to heal? Because, and when I say heal, it's very broad, right? It could be healing from breakups. It can be healing from, someone breaking up with you, or you breaking up with somebody, you walking up away from a business relationship, you walking away from a friendship, or them walking away, right? Something traumatic that's happened in your past or in your present. Are you taking the time to embrace and analyze and process the feelings that come with that? Because with healing, there are so many other bullet points of feelings, right? So you got shame, you got regret, you got guilt. You just have these questions of, was I the problem? Or was they the problem? Or who to blame, right? Was it my fault? Was it something I said? Was it who I am, what I did? And, I really recently, thinking of this topic, I dove into a lot of podcasts. I ain't gonna lie to you. This time I didn't do articles and studies and things like that, but I went and I dove into fellow podcasters to see what they're talking about on the topic of healing. And it's really, really interesting. And one of the main things that I learned is that we're not alone. Like, there's so many people everywhere that are trying to figure out how to heal from the trauma, because it's very real. And like I said, the way that the world goes now, it's just you're like, Nikki, how am I gonna find the time to heal? What are you talking about? Heal? There ain't no healing. I'm just going to move on to the next thing. Time heals all, so there's nothing I have to do, right? The time will tick and I won't have to worry about taking the steps that you're talking about. I won't have to worry about that, because as time goes, I'll be fine. And just based on what the psychologists and the studies and the books, everything that people are talking about, yes, time can and will help with healing. But you still have to ask yourself these hard questions. You still have to do the work to heal yourself, because trauma is serious and it really can eat away at you from the inside out. It shows in your body. It shows in your skin. It shows in your posture. It shows in your facial expressions, all of that. And you're just stuck in the day to day and you're saying, okay, tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better. But will it? Will it be better? In the outside, you might say, oh, I'm doing fine. I'm able to still do everything I was at. Sorry, I keep hitting this thing. I'm able to do everything that I was doing before. So why do I need to take time to heal? And just based on what I was looking at, is there are a lot of helpful steps to get you to heal, right? Sorry. So just kind of before we jump into how to heal, there were some things that I saw on a particular episode of the ways to heal. with a psychologist named Dr. Maika Stanborn. And she was breaking down the different stages of how to heal. And a major takeaway that I got from watching that was that everybody's healing process is different, right? So while it may take someone, these 5 stages, they may fly through it. Others are healing in different ways. They may take longer in a particular stage. And when you're healing from, whether it's you broke up with somebody or they broke up with you or y'all decided to go your separate ways, it's the same thing. You have to take these same steps. And it is Susan Anderson's 5 stages of healing from abandonment. Because a lot of the times, feeling that sense of abandonment can create trauma, honestly. When you think about it and you say, oh, okay, my sister wasn't there. She left in a really hard time. And when we were little, she left. And the little sibling may say, she left me. And the older one may say, I had no choice because I had to protect myself. So it's that flight or fight response, right? She had to run in order to protect herself. And that's just one of the situations. There's another situation of wife and a husband. And it's like, okay, I feel abandoned because we just had this baby and, we're trying to build this life together, but yet you're always out. You're always with your friends. You're always working. You're always putting yourself first and forgetting that, I'm at home with the kids. And are we really working towards a better future for both of us, right? Because you start these relationships with people and then as time goes, things start to shift. You have to learn and grow with it. That's why taking the time to process the emotions and communicate with each other is huge. It's a major step in life, really, when you think about it. So those are just 2 situations that I just pulled from the air here, right? So when you look at it, these are the 5 stages. You got stage 1. Shattering. This is when the actual event happens, right? You're in a state of shock. No matter you're the one who caused the shift or they did, it's still a sense of shock because, like I said, you were expecting to go years or forever with this person. You were expecting to stay at this job and build your career and get to the top, but something happened along the way and you had to separate. You had to flight or fight. You had to go because it's fight or flight or freeze, really, right? So you can freeze and stay in the moment. You can exit, fly, or you can fight your way through it, right? And not a lot of people have the energy to do that, but it's just how our brain processes these type of events that happens. And the second stage is withdrawal, right? It's kind of tied into the shattering. So the shattering is you're in a state of shock, right? The withdrawal is you don't really want to do the things you were doing before, right? And whether you say, oh, I can do the things just fine. Like I said, these stages are different for everyone. But just based on Susan Anderson's research, this is just kind of the stages of going through the process, right? So with stage 3, you're internalizing the rejection, right? Because whether it's you walking away or that person walking away, whatever it is, when you're left in silence, a lot of the times you like to overthink and you like to rethink, okay, what could I have done different? What was it that made that person leave me? Or what was it that I could have done better so that we could have had the life that we dreamed of? I could have had the career that I dreamed of. What did I do? And you start to overanalyze, and sometimes that leads to anger. It leads to sadness, confusion, all different kind of emotions. And I'm going to say it over and over again. You have to embrace that. You have to embrace it. Sit with it. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And just researching and diving into this stuff is helping me heal, because I'm on this journey and I want you on this journey with me to healing, so that you can release this trauma and this pain or this sadness, because no one should hold on to that. Life is too short, and as fast as it's going, you know what I mean? So you have to take the time. Okay, so back into it. Stage 4, rage. Excuse me. Stage 4, rage, snapping, exploding at others, right? I have an example. I have a story about that one. Just destructive. And it's like you don't want to face the truth. At this point of the stage, you're like, okay, it was that person. It was that person. It had to have been that person, or it had to have been that time, or maybe it was that time when I made the decision to do this that caused that person to look at me this way and rethink what we originally planned on doing. And it's very true. It's absolutely true. Without communication, you kind of won't know though, right? So if you've walked away or someone's walked away from you, you're sitting in this rage. You're sitting in these emotions and you're trying to figure it out and find an answer. But a lot of the times in the moment, you will not find an answer. You have to process. You have to go through each stage on your own to process it, right? So stage 5. Stage 5 is like, okay, lifting. This is I guess when the storm clears, right? And I'm briefly covering these. But stage 5 is where you start to get hopeful. You rebuild your confidence. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is through positive actions, right? Going out and making more connections, sitting with yourself and embracing these emotions. Like, there are different ways that you can lift yourself back to start to feeling better. Because a lot of the times when you go through this healing process, you're probably not going to feel the same way or feel like the same person you were before the event happened. So you have to take it for what it is. And when it comes to your perspective, like really my perspective is breakups and separations, things like that. They can lead to powerful insights about who you are, right? You can start to take the time to learn who you are, because a lot of the times when you get in these relationships or you get into a job where you want to build a career and you want to climb the corporate ladder, or you're trying to do something, people's opinions and you just start to overthink and overanalyze and everything. And you can get lost in that. And that's why I'm always going to say, take that time to find yourself. Find yourself. It's not easy. You can't just turn the page and be like, oh, there I go. No, you have to go through the process to find yourself. And I just wanted to talk about those things because a lot of the times, you go through these toxic feelings, right? You go through the shame and the regret. And listening to, Therapy in a Nutshell with Emma McAdam. I was listening to her today and she really dove into the shame, regret, and guilt and how toxic shame and regret can be, right? But guilt can be an opportunity to change your behavior, right? You're always going to ask yourself this question of, did I do something wrong? All right. I should have seen it coming, or this was my fault, or it was their fault. And, it was how I look, or it was how I dressed. That's why they didn't give me the promotion, and all these different type of things that are really destructive to your healing process. And I challenge you to flip that to productive, right? Start to make a list of why you are a good person. Like, despite what others may say, despite the doubts in your head. Just, I showed up for work on time all the time. I didn't take days off. Despite if I wasn't feeling well, I still went in and I was committed. I didn't bring my personal life to work, and I always kept it professional. I turned in my assignments and my projects when it needed to be done. I was present. You can have a list of all these wonderful things you did. And honestly, make the other list too. Make the list to where you feel like you could have done better. But at the end of the day, in comparison, you have to analyze that. You have to compare, and you have to see it physically. That's how I feel. You have to physically see it in front of you so that you can understand, you can process, okay, this is what the situation was, so that you can move on to the next step, right? Because you don't want to sit there in the shame, in the guilt, in the regret. You don't want to sit there, because it's not going to get you to the next stage of your life. You're going to sit there for a long time. And again, it's going to eat away at you from the inside out, because the mind is all through the body. This is not something, okay, I'll just ignore it and I'll just watch TV and it'll distract me. Guess what? When the show's over, the feelings are still there. You haven't processed anything. And that's why taking that time to heal is important. You have to take accountability. You have to be honest with yourself, right? Because if you're not honest with yourself, who's going to be honest with you? Because when you think about it, they're on the outside looking in, right? So they don't know what's going on in here. They don't know what's going on in here. And they don't know what you've been through, or how hard it was to get to where you got, or whatever it was that you had to heal from. You took the time to heal from that, got you to that next step, and then something else happened. And now, it's just constantly going circle. It goes full circle sometimes. And if you don't take the time to heal, that is going to come full circle back again, because there's always something going to happen. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something that someone says. So, okay, I want to start this podcast. You want to start a podcast. What are you going to talk about? I think I want to do an episode a week, maybe 2 episodes a week. Really? You think you're able to do that with everything you got going on? I don't know. I mean, you kind of, can you speak professionally to what, it's the opinions of others, like we talked about in the first episode, and they're always going to be there. But then there's your own opinion of yourself, right? What will okay, how will I get there, right? How will I get there? So that's why you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to take it one step at a time. So all those stages of healing, they're very important. You have to take it one step at a time. But if you're not embracing the actual process, then it almost seems like the work you're putting in and the time you're putting in is not really going to get you to that next stage of life, because you're not being honest with yourself. Embracing it is just taking it all in for whatever it is. The anger, the sadness, the confusion, the pain, all of that. The joy, the laughs, the happiness, all of that. You have to take it all in, regardless if it doesn't feel good. It's going to be hard to swallow. But you have to do it, because running from the truth is way harder than facing it. And the longer you run from it, the heavier it gets, right? It's like this dark, heavy, just weight on your shoulders. And you won't be able to move forward towards the light, towards the happiness, towards the joy, towards the next step, towards your future. You won't be able to do it if you don't take the time to be honest with yourself. So I want to make sure that you understand that that is the biggest thing to take from this episode. To be honest with yourself, hold yourself accountable, empathize, listen to yourself. However you're going to do it. You're going to journal, you're going to video log, you're going to look in the mirror and look yourself in the eyes and be honest with yourself. People don't want to face the truths. They don't, especially if they process and embrace it, and then it points back to them and their actions. They don't want to face that. They don't even want to admit it to themselves in the mirror. You think they're going to admit it to you? And you just have to make the repairs and learn from experiences so you don't do the same mistakes again. You don't go down that same road again. That's the point of processing and analyzing these feelings, right? Is so that you don't repeat them. Because if you keep doing the same things, what are we really learning? And this is something that I teach my children. An apology is nothing without a change of behavior. Let me say that again. An apology is nothing without a change of behavior. If you keep saying, I'm sorry, and then you keep doing it, are you really sorry? Do you really care how you made me feel in that moment? They say actions speak louder than words, right? I believe that. I'm a very hard believer of the actions speaking louder than words. Words hold meaning. They do. And it all sounds nice coming out of their mouth, right? But if there's no actual change or action to back what they're saying, how much weight are the words really holding, right? And when you're dealing with another person and you actively have to see that person or you actively have to deal with that person, a lot of the times your trauma, your healing, it doesn't matter to them, right? So this goes back to that story I wanted to tell you where it was clearly a stage 4 in rage. And I'm not sure that there was a healing process with this gentleman, but I know I was out in a public place and you could tell that he was not all the way there, the way his truck was parked. And when the associate came up and was like, sir, you have to move your truck, you're blocking such and such. And he was like, he said something and his tone was nasty, but he moved the truck. Couldn't understand what he was saying. So then when he came back through, he fixed the parking of his truck. He came back to the area and he just screams out, I'm going through a divorce right now with my 5 children. And I really don't give a about how anybody else feels or what they're going through. And everybody was just kind of looking around and it was like, okay, it's time to go. Because we don't know what's going to follow with that comment right there. He's not caring. It's almost like an act of carelessness. He doesn't care what's going on because all that matters is what's going on with him. And he's valid for being, upset and whatever. I don't know. I left. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody's acting like that, you get out of there because you do not know. In this day and age, you really do not know what somebody's thinking and what they're going through and what their next step is going to be. Just protect yourself, protect your children, and get out of there. That's exactly what I did. I was going to say, I'm sorry you're going through that. I internally prayed for him and I wished him well and I hope that everything's okay. But at the same time, there's, when you're on the outside looking in, you just don't know. And that's why you have to just go into these things with the understanding of everybody's going through something. We are not alone. As a human race, we're going through a lot of the similar things. And where I've gone through something in the past, you may be going through it now. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to have these conversations, because I may be able to help somebody just by something I'm saying process and go through and get to the next step of their life just like I did. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do that just from the comfort of my home, right? So there was another thing that I watched on the Reloved project. And all of these are on YouTube, and I will put them down in the comments if you want to, not the comments, the info description area, just in case you want to check them out. I would definitely strongly suggest it because I enjoyed listening to them. They were very knowledgeable and I just enjoyed it. And so one of the things that she was saying was there are 6 steps to healing. These are her 6 steps. So I gave you the 5 stages and then the 6 steps. So this is after you've kind of gone, I mean, you could combine them however you want to, right? Because what works for me may not work for you, right? But what I want to do is give you the tools to figure it out for yourself, right? So when you go and let's just, for an example, you're in a paint and sip class, right? Everybody has the same painting to copy from, but everybody's comes out different, right? Because we're all so unique, but very relatable at the same time. You gotta love it, right? So it's so many opportunities to connect. And listening to these women speak was wonderful because they have done the research as well. And they're using their knowledge from past experiences, from talking to friends, from reading books and watching podcasts probably as well. And just to be able to share this with people that I may have never run into, Dr. Maika or Emma McAdam. I may have not run into any of them my entire life, and I may still never meet them. But what they said holds weight. So my video got cut off by my alarm. I did not double check that. But I wanted to finish off with the 6 steps from the Reloved project. And let's just run through it. 1, in order to heal, you have to separate yourself from that person or that job. Whatever it was that you're seeing, you'll have the co-workers that are still kind of in touch with you. You're going to have to start to weed them off because they're going to keep you in the loop at what's going on at that job. You have the same friend group that y'all were running in, and they're still hanging out with your ex or your previous friend. You're going to have to separate yourself for a little bit. I'm not saying you don't have to be friends with them. I'm just saying take that time for yourself to heal by not being in contact with them. It's a very important step, right? The second one is loving the detachment, right? Choose yourself. For once, you will be able to learn things about yourself that you may have not known just by kind of disconnecting from the norm that you had with this person to taking the time to work on self-improvement. Because if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else, right? And if you're hurt from the trauma of breaking up or whatever situation, the shame, the regret, whatever, if you are holding on to that, how are you going to love yourself? You're still beating yourself up about a particular situation. You got to take that time. The third step was turning losses into lessons. Okay. Take these mistakes, take these things and learn from them. Value them. Don't just tell yourself, oh, those 10 years of my life were a waste. Take the time to sit and embrace the situations that happen, the arguments, the things they may have called you or said about you. I know I remember recalling back to a traumatic situation where somebody said that I was a particular way. And in the moment I could remember, thinking, screw you. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know who I am. You don't know what's on my mind. You don't know. But then when I started to heal and I started to take the time, I started to realize that person may have had a valid point. I need to really take a step back and look at the things that I was doing to make that person feel that way about me, or that they feel so comfortable to say that they labeled me. And in the moment, I immediately go into fight mode and I get defensive. But you have to take that time to embrace, whether it's after the situation, in the moment, years later, where there's nothing you can do, right? There's nothing you can do to change what happened. You can only change moving forward. And that is key to get to the next chapter. You have to change. You have to be willing to change, right? Then 4, learning to relove yourself. Oh my God. I love that one. I love that one. I love that one. Because if you know me, you know I'm always saying speak love into yourself, right? So your subconscious is listening all the time. So when you're constantly beating yourself up about choices you've made, or, what people have said to you, or how you feel about yourself. Oh, I'm so fat. That's why they didn't want to be with me. Oh, I snore loud. That's why they couldn't stand to be with me. Oh, I run late a lot. So, and it's real. I mean, it's not invalid if you're running late a lot, right? You're late all the time. But that's not to say that's why that person made that assumption about you. That's not to say, if you're not going to know until you analyze and you sit back and you realize, because a lot of the times you want people to start to heal at the same time that you're healing, right? So you're feeling some type of way about yourself. You take the time to analyze and say, okay, that person was right. And then you go to that person and you say, you know what, you were right all those years ago, and I apologize. That's great. That's very big of you. But there's no telling that person is going to take that and embrace it and be like, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. They might throw it right back in your face. And here we are back at square one, right? So remember the no contact to begin with, right? Step 1. The 2, loving detachment. Just be one with yourself and God, however you want to figure it out. Take that moment to be one, to figure it out, right? So then there's the turning losses into lessons. And I love that. And you make mistakes, you learn from them. You lose someone, you lose a job, you learn from it. You grow from it. That's what happens, right? And then the 4, the learning to relove yourself. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to tell you that even if you didn't go through a breakup, even if we're not having a conversation about trauma, I'm going to tell you to love yourself regardless, all the time. The 5th one, reality check. You're going to go through a reality check because the person you thought you were with that person, or that person at the time, there are no more, right? They don't exist anymore. Those memories that you had, those, sweet moments in the beginning, it's not there anymore. And you're not going to get it back, right? You can't relive and stay in the past. You have to move forward. So honestly, stop trying to relive the memory of once what was. And start to tell yourself, okay, we can do other things to bring us joy, right? So then the last one. And this one's funny to me because I used to say it all the time. Trust the process, trust the process, trust the process, right? The process, letting go is the process, right? She said, think about them, but don't give them the power. I mean, you're not going to stop, especially if it's been, 1 year, 8 months, 10 years, 20 years, whatever the amount of time is, right? It doesn't matter because you still mourn the loss of what was. The dreams that you had together, the moments you shared when it was joyous and new. I mean, even going through the struggles and then making it out together, those are things to be valued and not dismissed, right? So absolutely, absolutely. Embrace it, but don't live there. Don't give it the power to consume you, okay? Because you're stronger than that. And the reason why I said it made me laugh because trust the process, it was huge, huge, huge for me a couple years back. But then I came to this realization as I started to analyze and embrace, I came to this realization that you can trust the process, but the process is not going to process itself, right? You have to do the work in order for it to process. And in the subject matter of healing, letting go is a huge part of the process. And it's not going to happen overnight. So please understand that I am not a psychologist. I am a person that has gone through experiences, that has talked to people who have gone through similar experiences, and I'm learning through them. I'm trying to build this community so that we can learn from each other. So if there are ways that you have healed or, are still trying to heal, put it in the comments. If you know somebody who needs help or just like a little friendly word conversation and you don't know how to talk to them and you want to get the message across, but you just don't know how, send them this video, right? Because the messenger is super important. The message is there. I mean, literally, you type in healing in Google, Safari, YouTube, anywhere, TikTok, Instagram, anywhere you type in healing, stuff is going to pop up on how to heal. You're going to find the information right there at your fingertips. It's there. But the messenger is important as well. And sometimes when you're hearing it from your mom or you're hearing it from your best friend, these voices are like, okay, I've heard this voice my whole life. They just on my side because they love me or they know me. That's why they're telling me these things. But that's not the case when it comes to these podcasts. These people that don't know you. These people that don't know you, they're basically giving you the tools to help you get to the next step. And if I could do that, if I could help you get to the next step, if I could help you get to the next step, I've done my job in this episode, right? So I want to just take the time to just get to know myself so that I can be a better person than I was yesterday. And that is absolutely imperative for growth. Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to let you know that I know that you can do it. Take that first step, right? Take the moment. Time is not going to wait. It's only going to keep going. Time is going to pass. And soon it'll just, like I said, full circle. It's always going to come back to you if you don't deal with it head on. So it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be painful. But it's going to be worth it. And I want to tell you that it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So do it. Stop waiting. Take the time. And some people think, I have nothing to heal from. No, stop lying. Yes, you do. We all have something that we need to heal from. And when you start to take the moment to reflect and to embrace these emotions, you'll awaken some things that your brain kind of kept from you, trying to protect you. So you may not even know that you need to heal until you start to take that step to become one with yourself. And just one thing at a time. I know you can do it. Absolutely, absolutely. I just want to thank YouTube. I meant to say that in my last episode. I wanted to thank YouTube for allowing this opportunity to be able to hook up a microphone, a ring light, and my phone, and just and create an account and create just a place where people can come and listen to a friend. Because I want to be your friend. I may not be able to juggle a lot of people, but I'm learning yet. I used to say, I can only maintain 2 to 3 people in my life closely. But with the growth and the work that I'm doing with myself, I'm opening myself up. I'm putting myself out there because I know that somebody needs to hear it. Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to thank you again for coming in and sitting with me for a little bit and having these conversations that sometimes people just don't want to have these conversations, especially in person. This fidgeting, and it's like, okay, are we done? I'm ready to go. It's uncomfortable. And I mean, embrace it. Have the uncomfortable conversations, because if you're not having them, then you're just bottling them up and you might explode. To be honest, you might explode one day. So I just want to let you know, your support means everything to me. And hearing feedback about how what I'm saying is helping is so special to me. And a great way that you can support me is to subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, share the videos, like, comment, engage, because that's what it's all about, building this community and learning from each other, and just having these connections with people who are all around the world. It's opportunity out there. It's just waiting for you. So don't just sit in your room and feel sorry for yourself and let your mind tell you these lies, because you're stronger than that. And I believe that you are. So it's time for you to believe that you are. All right? So thank you for listening. And I'll see you next week.